What's up, guys? Finally, we got some more NASCAR Heat 3 news. It's been a real exciting last couple of days, not just because of that, but also Red Dead Redemption 2. I'm going to do another video also talking about that. But let's get on to NASCAR Heat 3. The first couple of details that came out today were that yes, Sean Wilson did confirm that there are burnouts in the game, and also the 360 camera that everybody's been complaining about. It's in the game. So these are not really huge details and stuff, but they're things people have been complaining about persistently, and it seems like they're really listening to us. And they must have, I think, worked on this late in this year's development, and they said, let's try to get that in the game, and hopefully we can be successful at doing that. And I think that's why he's just now, telling us that yes, this stuff's in the game. Now, it's just speculation on my part, but I do think that some of these things, they're not always sure if they can get it in the game in time, and this is why sometimes they don't come straight out and answer every question. Sometimes they're kind of cryptic with their answers, or they're confusing. They don't give you a yes or a no. And in all honesty, I gotta defend them and say that this is probably why. These are things that they're probably aware of, and they're trying to get in the game, and they're just not always sure if there's enough time. But apparently now they're finally confirming that yes, this is in it, because they probably were able to get it in. The game is less than a month away, so it's really great that they were able to do that. I don't think these are huge. It's that big of a deal, to be honest with you. But every little detail matters. And I've always said that. It's a combination of all these smaller details that add up to a bigger experience. And people want that 360 camera. It's not something I use. I always drive in cockpit mode and stuff. But for other people who don't drive in cockpit mode, they use that stuff. And it's also a cool way to check out your own car. But aside from that, doing the burnouts, you should be able to do a simple burnout after winning a race. So I'm glad that's in there. For me, it wasn't something that was like, oh my God, how this is going to destroy the game. But I'm glad it's in there. For me, I have my own priority of things where, one thing might be more important than others. I'm more concerned with things like statistics. They haven't talked much about it, and normally that's not a big deal, because stats are not really something any developer talks about, because it's not a big deal. Stats are just something you take for granted. Every game has stats, sports games especially, until Technics came along in 2011 and decided we don't need stats. And that's been a huge problem ever since. And that's been probably my biggest gripe since then. I've been screaming about this forever. I know some of you guys are like, man, this guy really wants his fucking stats. Yes, it's that important. You want to be able to look back on what you did in your career and how you're doing. I mean, how do you fucking even have a conversation about any sport and not bring stats into it? You ever try to discuss who's the greatest baseball player, basketball player, football player, or making comparisons between one athlete and another and not talk about stats? Stats is the first thing you talk about. It's everything. It's how you measure people's accomplishments. So it's really important, and I don't know. I guess not enough people have asked them about it, but I really don't like that last minute thing they did last year. Now, speaking of that, just like I mentioned about the burnouts and the 360 camera, these are things that probably were pushed aside for other more important things. But now they decided, towards the later part of this year's development to try to get it in there. Now it's confirmed it's in there. And I think that's what happened last year after I threw a tantrum about when I found out there aren't stats in the game. And other YouTubers joined in, What If Racing, and other, a lot of other people went after them on Twitter and Facebook after I asked them to push the issue. And, it had an effect. They decided at the last minute to do something, and they did throw in stats, but it's not good the way they did it. But I don't want to be too harsh on them because they were at least listening. And at the end of the day, that's what excites me the most about 704. They continuously prove that they get it. They're listening to us. They're not going to always be able to deliver everything we want, but the fact is they are listening. They are aware of our complaints, and they're trying. Now, the stats thing, this is going to be the third game. I mean, I am going to be pissed if there is not a comprehensive statistical compilation of everything you do in the game, of your career. It's got to, I mean, this is one of the most basic fundamentals of game development. And it really bothers me that this seems to be such a forgotten issue. So I'm hoping it's in there, and if it's not, I'm really going to be pissed. But does that mean it's going to ruin the entire game? I don't think it's fair. But it's definitely something I'm focused on. So I really hope they address that. But outside of that, they really did cram a lot of stuff into this next game. I am excited. They also released a career mode detail trailer explanation video today, and it's really looking good. Honestly, I know there's going to be people out there that no matter what, they're just not going to like what they see. I have a hard time not being excited. This game looks good. Even visually, I don't understand what people expect. The game looks pretty good. And I am starting to notice the more I see video clips that, yeah, it is pretty improved over last year. It's not night and day, but when you see the sky, the lighting, the shadows, the contrast, there is a polish to everything. It's not something that's gonna like blow people away, but it does look improved, and it's certainly adequate, and it's good enough for what they're trying to do. I like what 704, the direction they're going. I really am excited. The game really looks like it's being modeled after like NASCAR Thunder 2004 with the career mode. The way that you have to prepare for future races. You got to buy specific chassis that are designed for specific tracks, whether it's a super speedway, an intermediate track, or a short track, or road course cars, stuff like that. I love that. This is what made NASCAR Thunder 2004 what it was. And, having to manage and hire people and put money into parts and this really looks good. And this is what most of us want. We want them to kind of go back and do the things that made games like 2004 Thunder so great. Now, is it going to match that depth? That remains to be seen. But so far, I like everything I see. Also confirmed that you're going to be able to run multiple series as a driver while being an owner at any one particular series. There are some small questions like, is the money I make in other racing, can I use that as well in my ownership? Or is there some separation there? I'm sure you can use that money. I have no reason to believe that you can't. It's just the type of things that pop into your head as a question. And the other question for me is once you build up your team and you're kind of at a very high level and you've got really good equipment, what happens if you sort of stop investing into your organization and team and your people? Does your organization start to drop? And that's what I'm hoping happens, so that you constantly have to continue to evolve and invest. And that's what gives the career mode depth. If once you max everything out and you don't have to do anything else, that's going to really ruin it. So that's just a small question. Normally, I would say, of course, you're going to have to continue to be on top of that stuff. But I don't take anything for granted anymore. Like I said, I never thought we'd have, statistics be a problem. Where it's every year you're asking these same, why are there no fucking stats in this game? So I don't take anything for granted anymore. I can assume that, if you're not on top of your organization, your equipment will start to go downgrade. So I can't take anything for granted. So those are small questions, but I love everything I see, and it does seem like they get it. Like they probably said, these people really want that experience again, like they had in 2004. There are still questions aside from the stats. Also, the presentation in the game. There are some small things I see that I like. But at the same time, I'd be shocked if the level of the presentation was raised to match like 2004. That's where I want them to go, and even beyond that, where you had the pre-race commentary, post-race, you had the Star-Spangled Banner, the jets flying overhead, the cars firing up in the pit lanes, doing that warm-up lap where they go down the entire lineup and talk about everyone, including you, and the post-race commentary. That's really where I want 704 to keep pushing, all right? And I'm going to keep bringing this stuff up for the future. But I don't expect that in this game, to be honest with you. And I think if it was, they would probably have let us know by now. They did say there's going to be quote-unquote stories, little things like before the race, if somebody gets sent to the back for technical violations. But I do think that stuff's going to be very bare bones. It's probably going to be text displayed and stuff like that. But, I look at things as a glass half full, not glass half empty. That's a step in the right direction. They're trying. So our job as a community is to keep pushing and guiding them and tell them what we like, what we don't like, and what we want. Because they're listening. And I don't know what else you can ask for from a game developer. Very few game developers actually listen to their community. So that's a smart thing for them to do. And I love everything I've seen so far. I'm really excited. So are you guys as excited as I am? This latest trailer, it really looks good. I loved it. So I don't know what else to say. I can't wait for this game. So that's there's still things they haven't told us, I suppose. But we'll see what happens. They'll probably release some more information next week. But I really liked what they did today. They revealed a lot in that video, and it's a step up from the marketing, if you could call it that they've been kind of doing. So this is really looking good. My favorite time of year is fall, and this fall looks really good. I'm definitely going to have some interesting times on the PS4. And aside from NASCAR Heat 3, there's Red Dead Redemption 2, which I will be talking about in a separate video. But things are looking up. And, I hope 704 sees this and knows that they're on the right track. This is what we want. And we're not going to get everything we want. Also, they haven't really discussed customization in the paint booth. I'm calling it paint booth. We know there's not a paint booth like there was with Utechnics, but the customization, they haven't really gotten into that. Maybe next week, maybe in a future update, they'll talk about it. I can only hope that they expanded on last year because it wasn't a terrible system, to be honest with you. It was just lacking in a lot of things. But it wasn't bad. It was very simple. And if they just add more of everything, and there's a lot of ways you could flesh it out. So I'm interested to know, and I gotta assume they must have did something to upgrade that. But we'll see. Uh, I hope we hear more this coming week, and I love it. So I want to know what you guys think. Do you agree with me? Are you as excited? Uh, I really don't know what else, how much more we could expect. And considering the short development time, these are yearly games. I'm impressed. I'm impressed. And one last thing, I've seen from time to time people that say they want another developer to take over, or EA to come back, or some other big developer. I think people are being a little bit unrealistic and unfair. And what I'll say is this. I think a lot of people have this revisionist history where they remember everything as being so much better than it really was. And as great as the early EA Thunder games were, EA did fall off a cliff at some point. The last couple of NASCAR games people hated. I remember a lot of people just complaining and saying, EA, go away. I want someone else to make these games. And a lot of people seem to forget that. So, and EA's a terrible company. And they've shown that they're just a greedy corporation. And as far as other companies coming in and doing a NASCAR game, I'm telling you guys, that's not realistic. That's not going to happen. It's great that we have a company, even though they're a small company like 704, making NASCAR games, because NASCAR as a sport, as we've talked about before, isn't what it used to be in terms of interest. Sponsors are leaving. They're having a hard time holding on. So NASCAR is going through a rough period in the sport. And hopefully it'll go back in the positive direction. But when the interest in NASCAR as a sport goes down, so does the interest for a NASCAR game. Now, you and I love these games. We love NASCAR. We're hardcore fans. But you can't expect a big-time developer to come in and pour resources into making a NASCAR game when they know that the sales numbers aren't going to be there to justify the money they spend. So thinking that a big developer is going to swoop in and create this amazing magical game, that's not realistic. And I think that we are in a better place when you have someone like 704 Games. Remember, they might be a smaller developer, but this is all they do. They don't make other games. They're a NASCAR game company. Who knows if that'll change in the future? Maybe they expand. Maybe they do so well that they decide we're going to make other games as well. Who knows? But right now, they are focused on making NASCAR games. And I think that's a good thing. And I'd rather have a smaller developer who is 100% invested in a NASCAR game than a bigger developer who might have more resources, but the passion for NASCAR isn't going to be there. They're just looking at it as a money-making entity. And people forget that, you can put as much money into something as you want, but if the vision isn't there, the product's not going to be a quality product. And, 704, from what I see so far, seems to be understanding what direction this franchise needs to go in. So we are actually lucky that 704 is doing this, because I don't think it's realistic to think that some other big developer is going to swoop in and save the day. For who? We're not a big community. So who knows? If things get really bad in NASCAR, even we may not even see NASCAR games for God knows how long. So we have to try to push for the best possible games right now with 704, in my opinion. And they've shown enough so far that, I mean, what more can you ask for? They're listening. Okay? Technics was a horrendous company. They never listened. These guys are not operating that same way. They're showing a lot of improvement and progress. So, and you guys know, if you followed me, you know that I've been very critical of not just Technics, but 704 in the beginning. So, my criticism's been constructive, but I've criticized. So, nobody can honestly say that, oh, this guy's just a fanboy of 704. No. I've been very fair and critical, and when they do something wrong, I'm on it. But when they do something right, I gotta be fair to these guys. I'm actually impressed. When you take in everything that's there and seems to be there, and the direction they seem to be pushing for, that's what I want. That's what we should all want. So I'm excited, and I hope you guys are as excited. And I can't wait to do a prediction video, which should be coming in the next couple of weeks. I still think there's some more information that's bound to come out. And I've been doing a couple prediction videos for the past couple of years. So I'll do one for this game when the time's right. Maybe within a couple of weeks. So that's it, finally. What do you guys think? I look forward to your comments.